Hey, close shavers, how you doing? Couple of points I want to touch upon. First of all, since this terrorist attack in New Zealand at the two mosques, I'm seeing so many posts bombarded with, white people, and you look at white supremacy, and I've spoken about it myself, institutional racism, and in reality, it's institutional white supremacist racism. You can read the history books. It's so apparent and clear, the atrocities of the British Empire, the French Empire. We know about colonialization, imperialism. We know about, look, the irony, the people of Australia and New Zealand, how they were massacred by the Brits, the Aborigines, what happened to them. They were literally replaced, and millions of them, literally, it was genocide after genocide. But my point is, where does it end? Where does it end? What's our objective? We can hear an amazing academic, summary of how racism and white supremacist ideology and narrative is deeply entrenched in the government, in the British government, in the media, Rupert Murdoch, the Sun, Daily Mail. We know all that. But my point is, what are we trying to prove to white people? Do white people have to now apologize for all of the sins of not of what's happened in history, but of these far-right psychopaths, these far-right terrorists that are attacking, whether they be Muslims, black people, foreigners? Do all white people need to apologize? I mean, think about it. We've been, in terms of Muslims, on the other side of the spectrum, we don't want to apologize for the crimes of other Muslims, and we shouldn't have to. But the question is, we've got an example as well. All you need to do, for example, is to look at the African American community. I remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X twice. Read the autobiography of Malcolm X, because the extreme, sometimes it can lead to extreme hatred of white people. We don't want to be guilty of reverse racism. We know that racism is out there. We know there's a lot of white supremacy out there, and Islamophobia and all the rest of it. But the perfect community you need to look at, who will perfectly epitomize what they've had to endure over centuries and how they've reacted as a movement, is the African Americans, the civil rights movement. Look at Malcolm X. Look at Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. Yeah, read the autobiography of Malcolm X. One of the creedal beliefs and points, and in the creed of the Nation of Islam, was that the white man was a devil. So basically, intrinsically, the white people are evil. And white people were created by a scientist in a lab somewhere. Now, I don't know whether the Nation of Islam believe that today, but the early belief, as is espoused in, pre-Sunni Islam of Malcolm X, when you read an autobiography, that's what they believe about white people. It's crazy. But you got to understand the mentality. You got to understand why they arrived to that conclusion. Look at the Jim Crow laws of racial segregation in America. People of color, colored only water fountains, colored only toilets. We know the story of Rosa Parks. We know the story of lynching, Willie Lynch. Look what they had to endure, the transatlantic slave trade. How many millions people speak about Holocaust? There's so many Holocausts in human history, the African Holocaust, right? But my point is, what are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to make white people ashamed of being white? Is that how far we're going to take it? Because, at the same time, white people should need to apologize the way Muslims don't need to apologize for the crime of a minority. Because these are minorities. And the media shows it as being the majority. So the way we as Muslims don't need to apologize, or black people, Asians, or whatever, or Arabs, for the crime of a few or bad apples in the community, nor should white people. And it's only fair. It's only fair, because how much humiliation are we going to mete out against everyone? We can see it all day long. We can read the history books. We can give example after example of every civilization, every group of people, from every religion, from every skin color, that have committed atrocities, without a doubt, under the name of their ism, the name of their sect or group or religion or color. Unfortunately, it's part of the human tragedy. It's part of the human story, unfortunately. Before, it was the color of your skin. Now it's the color of your faith. It's slightly different now. But my point is, what is the objective? White people shouldn't be made to feel that they should be ashamed of themselves. No, they shouldn't. They're human beings like us. We're all human beings. And as Muslim, from a Muslim perspective, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ in the Quran. Verily, we have made the child of Adam noble. We have ennobled. So it's a human message, yeah? So I just want to just point this out to a lot of people, that there's a lot of posts going around, and yes, I'm the first to call it out when we see white supremacy, and it should be called out, by the way. But my question is, check yourselves. What is our intention? We should not be here to humiliate people, make white people feel that they have to apologize for these psychopaths that are killing Muslims or killing people that are foreigners or people of color. Yeah, they shouldn't need to. Yeah, the same way we don't need to apologize for the actions of a few psychopaths in our community. So let's be a bit balanced, let's be a bit fair as well. And I've got another very important point, but I'm going to mention it in part 2, not right now, so stay tuned for that. See you soon. Take care.